All right, welcome back. This is Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining today. Hope you had a good holiday, good Easter holiday, and had some nice scavenger hunts and Easter egg hunts outside and did all that funny bunny stuff. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get straight into some of the other stuff, the other side of it, which we're, I don't know. I don't really think tarot counts as anything pretty much Abrahamic in a sense, but we'll go ahead and look into some of the things that we have for the sign of Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the month of April 2026. This is going to be a reading for that period in time, and we will also go ahead and draw some cards. We've already drawn them already, most of them, and see what's going to be taking place for this period in time. Now, as always, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. And that's it. So I'm going to pull some cards, I guess, for the Oracle, which is what I just drew. Let's see here. I'm going to put these to the side, just see what goes from there. Now, let's get started. Cap, you're up. Goats of the Zodiac. You have, for the recent past, you have the Wheel of Fortune. And then we also have, clarifying that, is the Magician in the reverse. So, in the recent past, what you felt is after a time in a period of essentially not feeling that you could, manifest what it is that you wanted to do, or feeling as if, in a sorts, I feel almost like you felt that you didn't have the resources almost to materialize that which you really wanted to materialize in your life. However, that is changed. That has changed in the recent past. It's allowed you to now move forward. Things have started to, gain forward momentum from that point on. Now we can clarify this a little bit. Just a little bit more. What is the Wheel of Fortune about? Again, please clarify. Yeah, Emperor in the verse. It's almost like a period in which you felt like you couldn't manifest, you couldn't materialize, and also that you didn't have the control that you needed in order to step up and take control of the situation. So we have the Magician and the Emperor both in the reverse, clarifying this Wheel of Fortune. So that time and that period is finally over. Things are moving forward with you after a period of, I guess, massive stagnation. And with these two figures here, this is all about the masculine. The Magician is a masculine figure. The Emperor is also a masculine figure. So it was almost like you had to kind of take the situation by, you had to take control of the situation by the sheer force and determination of your will, rather than simply passively waiting for things to come into your life, like with the Empress. And these are two powerful masculine figures, because the Emperor is arguably the most powerful masculine in the deck. And then the Magician is a very, very creative force, which represents Gemini and Virgo. And then you also have Aries here with the Emperor. So now that you're going through that situation, it feels that, fortune is finally tipping in your favor. You're finally able to move on to the next phase of your life, which is going to be the Hermit card, another Virgo card. So if you have Virgo in your chart, that would actually resonate with you. And additionally, you have the Four of Wands, clarifying the Hermit. So it's almost like now you're spending a lot of time at home doing your thing. And for the most part, you're using that time to reflect on yourself, to understand precisely what it is that's coming into your life, what has happened in your life, and where you plan to go after that period in time. Now, it's important for you to, I'm getting a message also here. It's kind of separate, but it's almost like celebrate the things that you have accomplished and achieved, because these can be milestones when we talk about the Four of Wands. And with the Hermit, this is a person who's doing deep introspection and reflecting on things before the Wheel of Fortune takes place. So it's almost like you go from the 10 to the 9. You're taking a step back as things move forward, which is strange. And you're doing additional reflection. So that way, you know that you're doing things the correct way, and that, you're taking all the necessary steps in order to make this a success. I spoke about that recently with Cancer. However, your situation is slightly different. Yours is about the home and the hearth, but it's also about the time that you spend in your solitude and being able to move into a better energy by having a deep period of self-reflection and understanding. I see more of that in the near future because we have the Three of Swords and the Four of Swords on their side. So the Three of Swords is in the reverse, I believe, and the Four of Swords is in the upright. Ish, on their sides. So it's almost like those energies are coming into the fore. So getting over the heartbreak of things that have taken place in the past. Additionally, the Four of Swords, as I always explain to people, you have the Three of Swords hanging above the person, on the tomb, with the fourth sword supporting them underneath. That moment of clarity that helps you to overcome the challenges of the Three of Swords. And what is helping all of this to happen, when I clarify that, you have the Ten of Pentacles, and then you have the Knight of Wands. So this is a person that's not really skimping on the things that they need to do in their life. They're actually taking a proactive approach, finally moving into those stages where they're taking command of their masculine energy, and they're building a legacy and building, wealth and to an extent, improving their family life as well. Now, if the heartache and the pain that you've experienced deals with your family, I see you taking action on that to try to, to change the situation to the best of your ability. So if you felt estranged from family members, if you felt estranged from people that you would consider brothers and sisters as well, you are taking action on that, whether that is to cut people out altogether or to move forward with that. And additionally, processing all of the pain, sadness, and the hurt that has come into your life as a result of that. I'm going to clarify that part a little bit more. And again, Six of Wands, victory, success. So there's a lot of wand energy. That means proactivity, taking control, allowing things to take shape by putting the actions out there in the universe and making things a complete success. That Six of Wands is very indicative of a person who is finally overcoming the challenges that have been beset upon them in the recent past. Now, the outcome of all of this is and I got this with Cancer too, but this is the Strength card. And this is clarified by the Empress and the Queen of Cups. So Empress in the reverse, Queen of Cups in the upright. Again, the Queen of Cups is also a reflective character here. So Queen of Cups here. And then we have the Empress in the reverse. So it's like moving away from the sadness and the despondency to actually being mature in your emotions, being able to reflect and pause on all the things that you've experienced in your life. And in doing so, having the strength and the courage to move forward. I'll clarify that with one more card, and we'll move on from there. Yeah. And I just said the phrase, moving on from those things that caused you pain and suffering. And lo and behold, the Six of Swords comes out. And this is clarified by the High Priestess. Pausing, stillness, self-reflection, all of those things are coming in the outcome by the end of the month, by the end of April. You'll finally be in that energy where you're taking a time to reflect and pause and to allow yourself to become emotionally mature by tackling all of the things that you have had to face in the past. If in the past you didn't feel that you were empowered enough to handle certain things or to take on certain things, you're now finding that you're able to do that without any hitches. And so that's very good. At the bottom of the deck, you have the Ace of Pentacles, which is a sign that in the near future, this is going to bring about great stability and change, whether or not that is a mental change, like a mental stability, or a financial stability, or just an overall feeling of groundedness and centeredness, which is excellent for you. For this, we have the card, A Call to Transformation. Card number 17, 1 plus 7 is 8. You've got the Strength card in your outcome, which is also an 8. Number 8, this is a card about the self. So this is self-transformation, metamorphosis, and the in-between. You are moving from that period in your life in which you feel that, you had some emotional and mental challenges that had, caused issues for you in the past. You're now moving towards energies that are way more conducive and better for you to make you feel happier, lighter, and to, in turn, have that success, that big victory that has been coming out. And it's all been done from the actions that you've taken. So you may be getting into better health. You may be, meditating, focusing on your mind, doing the things and activities that you love to do. So that way you can kind of nurture and get into that, that feeling of self-care, which is going to be incredibly important for you. Because as a Capricorn, you like to feel grounded, you like to feel safe, you like to also know that you're making progress in the things that you want to achieve. And you always have a goal in mind, similar to Sagittarius, but you're the one that most certainly sees things through to the end. And that's the thing about Capricorns. They rise to the top in their success because they don't really give up, and because they're able to see the vista of all things, because they're the mountain goat, they're the ones at the top of the mountain. They look down and they can see everything. And to be even fair, when you see the Capricorn, it's almost like similar to the Baphomet in the sense that it's half earth and half water to a degree. So the lower part is water-based in many sense. If you look at the old kind of pictures of the Capricorn goat, and then at the top it's all earth and human. So similar to Sagittarius, which is half, horse, half human being, both of them represent overcoming the carnal nature of your, of yourself, being ruled by the emotions, of being ruled by, impulse, and being able to master that. So that way you can achieve and do things and rise to new heights and create your legacies and things of that nature. Whereas the Sagittarius is going to go off and expand themselves. You, Capricorn, you're going to go and you're going to hunker down and you're going to get things sorted out and you're going to rise to the occasion. So with that transformation, everyone knows that they have some kind of transformation they need to go through. Especially with the month of April, it's going to be a time in which, we're not really living in the happiest of times when it comes to uncertainty, dealing with, the situation in Iran, the financial markets. It seems like there's one straw being placed on the camel's back after the other until it just breaks. And I think that's what's kind of happening in today's society. And it can leave people with a lot of doubt, maybe a bit of fear, and not really sure what's going to take place for the near future in their lives. But it's important for us to always know that there's going to be a way for us to persevere through these challenges, to become emotionally and financially and physically grounded. And that in turn allows for us to be able to tackle those problems as rapidly as possible. So that way we can adapt and go with the flow of whatever challenges that come our way. And, that said, I think that's going to be a very good time for you. It's going to be very conducive. It's going to be very liberating for you, mentally and physically and emotionally. And then after that, you're going to find yourself in feeling front, right, and center with your life and the direction it's going to take. So no matter what happens, Capricorn, you've got this. It's going to be a good time for you. And once again, this is Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to leave it there. Support the channel. Until next time, love and light.